I'm going to be replacing the water pump in my 92 F150 with the 5.0. First thing I'm going to do is get stuff out of the way. I'm going to get this intake out of the way and this shroud so I can get down in there and start removing the old water pump. Alright, so I've got the intake out of the way. Just unclamp these hose clamps, remove this hose from the thermostat to the radiator, and just moved it out of the way. I think I'm going to be replacing the thermostat while I'm doing this too, so but I probably could have just left it on here and kind of bent it out of the way to get the fan and shroud out. So now there's 4 bolts holding the fan on. I need to remove those, and then we can take the fan and the shroud out at the same time. And holding the shroud in is normally 2 bolts up top here that you have to remove. Alright, the shroud and the fan and the pulley have been removed. I have also disconnected this lower hose from the water pump down there. I've disconnected these 2 hoses and removed the belt. So it looks like we're gonna have to remove this bracket here, or at least get it out of the way. The AC is hooked up to it, so just get it unbolted and out of the way, and then we should be able to remove this water pump and get the new one put on. Alright, I've got both these brackets out of the way, the alternator one and the AC one, and this one's just free enough so I can move it out of the way when I need to. The AC is still all hooked up. Also, this alternator is hooked up because I've directly wired it in, so it's not so easy to disconnect. But I've got this out of the way, so now I'm going to start removing the bolts for this water pump. So we've got this old water pump removed, and I cleaned up the old gasket off of here as best as I could with a razor. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the new one on. I had some bolts break off that I used an extractor on this one, and then I actually had to get my welder out and weld a bolt onto the end of the stud that was left on this one, and thankfully I was able to get it out without having to take that whole timing cover off. So I've got some replacement bolts. We're gonna go ahead and put the new water pump on. Here is the replacement water pump that I got. It's a Gates. Looks like the part number's down there somewhere. But there's 2 gaskets on this. There's one that's already on there, and this is all being held on by 2 bolts, and then there's another gasket that you put on, and then you install it onto the truck. Here's the part number for the replacement bolts that I bought. You're gonna have to buy a few of them to replace all of the bolts, but I just bought a couple to replace the ones that broke and then the ones that are really rusty, but I think most of these are gonna be okay to reuse. But I think I'm also going to dip the ends of these into some grease to try to keep them from rusting and seizing in there if I ever have to replace this again. These 2 bolts do go in on the bottom here, but I would tighten them up because they weren't very snug when they were in the box. So those do stay on there, but tighten them up. So now that I've got the water pump installed, I'm ready to start putting these other brackets back on for the alternator and the AC pump. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. I think each of them have like 3 or 4 bolts that attach them to the motor. You can see on here where they all go. I think each of them has 4. All right, I've got everything hooked up and connected. Both those hoses that go to the water pump right there, and all the clamps clamped on. I let it run for a little bit and check for any leaks. This is how the bell is routed without the whatever that pump is down there, but this is how it's supposed to be. And the fan, the shroud obviously go on, but I'm going to be installing this electric fan, and I'm going to make another video with that.